Today I'm making a tabletop fire pit. If you'd like to make your own, here's a list of materials you would need. Fireplace fuel, burner insert, cement, and color if you like. A glass vase, felt pads, and marbles. Much of this is optional, but here's a list of tools I used in the build. I picked up an old cake mixer, a bucket, a mixing bowl, ice scoop, and clamps. You can use any cement mix for this project. I use cement all from Rapid Set. Now this gives me a very short working time, but I can have a finished product in just 1 hour. You can do some calculation to figure out just how much you'll need. Most of the time, like this project, I just freestyle it and just try to get a feel for how much I need. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. After adding water to the mix, I use an old cake mixer to stir up the two. With the Rapid Set mix, you can use what they call a flow control, which allow you to get a soupy mix, and this way it can get into the cracks and crevices. I now poured the mix into a bucket, and as I said before, sometimes I get it right and sometimes I don't. I ended up being a little shorter than I would have liked to be. Now I could have mixed more and added to this, but one of the flaws I saw with the Rapid Set is when you put 2 layers on top of each other, because of the time in between, you can also see where the 2 was joined. So to best take advantage of this is to mix enough at first. And right here is when I realized I forgot 2 things. I forgot to put color in my mix. On top of that, I forgot to oil everything, so the demolding part would have been easier. That was my concern at the time, but turns out it wasn't a big deal. I cut these pieces of wood to help hold the glass down inside the bucket, and this is the basic concept of what they should be doing. It worked, but it wasn't extremely successful, and here's why. When I planned this out, the glass was touching the bucket. With the cement added, it pushed the glass up. The higher the glass get, the wider the opening. And because of that, I didn't have the tight fit I planned out. Holding the glass was not an issue. The problem was keeping it centered, which is where the little play became an issue. I also added rocks just to help hold it in place. And about 15 minutes in, the concrete starts to cure and it starts to get hard as the chemicals are working inside. So to prevent the mix from overheating and possibly cracking, I then poured water on top of it and let it sit. And after just 1 hour, you can demold this. Instead of beating on the form, work the bucket to get the 2 to separate. The strainer off to the side is what I will use to help catch the fire pit once it releases. You can use a few towels, sheets, or anything soft for the glass to land on. And after a little tap tap, here it is. And with no air getting to the bottom of the bucket, I can see there was a little bit of moisture still trapped in here. So I just let it sit for an additional hour, allow it to dry up some, and then I'll get back to it. The bottom of the concrete came out flawless, but that's not the side we're going to be looking at. So I need to clean up the edge going around the glass. All you need is a razor to scrape off the cured cement. I took a sanding block to clean off the top edge. The side and bottom takes the texture of the bucket, but since there's nothing along the top, it's usually a little more rough. But to me that's okay because it gives the real feel of a concrete piece. Now it's been a while since I cleaned some glass, but I think I still got it. That thing is spotless. The bottom of this is as smooth as the interior of the bucket, so you probably don't need these felt pads, but I'll add them just in case. I will link everything I'm using for this project down in the video description. Upon my purchase for the fire burner, I was highly disappointed. I purchased this burner, but instead, this one showed up. I'm just pointing this out so if you guys grab one of these, you won't be as confused as I was. Now I'll make a little metal barrier that will keep the marbles out of the center. One thing I didn't notice from the glass vase is that the middle part in the bottom has a cone shape to it, so it's not necessarily flat. The main issue here is it raises the burner even higher. Now if you go with river rocks, that would be way cheaper than this. I ended up spending around $35 on marbles. River rocks would probably cost around $12 for a large bag. I happen to like the marbles over the river rocks. I didn't want to disturb what I had going on here, so I made a little funnel to pour the fuel down inside the burner. For safety reasons, you should always put out the fire before adding more fuel. One thing I noticed is that the fuel starts off very low when you first light it up, but it gradually builds over time. According to the manufacturer of the fuel, it's designed to burn indoor and outdoor. It's meant for a ventless fireplace and is supposed to burn clean. According to the specs, this is a 100% premium natural alcohol fuel, but you can check out the link down in the video description if you want to find out more detail on this product. In the other tabletop projects I've made in the past, I've used the gel fuel on those. Those are also a great option as well. Before you make a decision on any of these things, be sure you read their instructions so you have a better understanding. One way to put the fire out is simply smothering it. Before putting extensive use on this, I would recommend you let this sit for 30 days and then seal it with a concrete sealer. I let this burn for a complete hour, and here's what I found. The marbles at the top and the glass was very hot. And of course the burner itself was extremely hot. I had to take a pliers to pull it out. I checked the bottom and the bottom was cool as can be. As you know, heat rises and 1 hour is not enough time to tell how long this would compare to if you use it for 5 hours. For this project, you're looking at around $125 minus the fuel. I'll list out the things I use in this project down in the video description. The glass vase may be the hardest to find, but you might have some luck at your local craft store. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you're not, be sure to subscribe to this channel, turn on that bell notification and ring it so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. This is Glenn on DIY Creators, and thanks for watching.